After Donovan and Rudy's diagnoses, several teams are now undergoing self-quarantine. The 5 teams that played the Jazz in recent weeks were instructed to quarantine, which includes the Cavaliers, Knicks, Pistons, Raptors, and Celtics. And then on top of that, the team plane that was used to transport Utah Jazz to Oklahoma City was later used to transport both Orlando Grizzlies. So they're, I think, undergoing self-quarantine as well. So let's just discuss this. We're going to get into more specifics like Rudy Gobert and the whole controversy surrounding him. But first, let's just talk about what the effects of this will be and what your thoughts are on all of this.
As far as like this goes with like the leagues and stuff, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, seriously.
So for the NBA, let's just start with the NBA, I guess. So for the NBA, I don't think it's like a huge issue for them. I don't know if they necessarily even continue the full slate of games or just maybe do the last like 7 to 10 games that they were expected to play. We've been through lockouts before in 2011. The schedule went from 82 games to 66 games, and they still just continued. They didn't like redo the games or whatever. But because the NBA season's supposed to end June 12th, at July, August, there's nothing going on. So if it does get pushed back, it doesn't really hurt them at all. It doesn't affect them TV-wise because nothing else is going on besides like regular season baseball. Nobody really cares about regular season baseball like that on television-wise, you know? So
I feel like
they're not going to have an issue there.
Offended real diehard baseball fans.
Well, real diehard fans go to games.
Yeah, exactly.
But now,
Seriously, they don't watch
MLB's
on
been
TV.
canceled too, so everything's going to get pushed back. So I don't think it affects the NBA really at all if it's just like a couple months. But there has been a question, is this permanently going to change the NBA season? Because if they're playing until August, then does now the new start date for the next season get pushed back so they can have their off-season time and time to make, because they can't have a draft until after the season is over because they do trades in the draft and all that kind of stuff. So now are we forever now going to see a different season for the NBA?
That's what I was
And it's
wondering,
crazy,
too.
that was already pitched though. Like before any of this was going on, it was already being pitched and there was an idea out there that the season would start in December going into the same July, August. At some point, this would be way down the line, but now with this going on, that might fast forward the process and it might be the new norm, which isn't too bad because like you said, there's that open spot during the summer. I know baseball is out there, but you can still go to the games. That's not going to stop you from doing that. But there is that open spot for sports, so it might be the smart thing to do, especially if this ends up coming back and ends up working.
Yeah, and Mark Cuban actually spoke to that too because they have been talking about that in recent years. And the only reason why the season was what it was and it didn't go longer into the summertime was because television time used to drop a lot during the summertime. Obviously, we know that's not the case anymore. So they have been, like, that's always been an option in the last couple of years for the NBA to do something like that. So I guess
this might be the.
So last night, after I stopped panicking, because I was legit panicking, I was in the chat with a bunch of my friends who work. One's a writer for the Clippers, one's a writer for the Lakers. Keep me in. But they both said that what they're hearing is that the NBA is thinking about. Now, obviously, there's just a bunch of conversations right now because I don't think anyone really expected this to happen, especially not this quickly. Mark Cuban's reaction is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa! But I think they were talking about, there's like some of the rumors that they're hearing is that they're going to stop the season right now and just start the playoffs.
Yeah, I heard that too.
While I'm not upset with that for the number 1, 2, and even the 3-4 seed, that 8th seed is up for grabs in both divisions, and I just think ending it now and not giving those other teams a solid chance. I mean, I get it though, safety first, but this is crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the implications for these suspensions for the NBA a little bit later. But what I do want to know is that we talked about this a lot. We've been talking about it a lot. We thought that the NBA would definitely never eliminate fans. We thought that was just like a big, we're just trying to be proactive.
We also got to give Jackie some props because way back when, Jackie, that was the very first thing you said was like, that's nice, but what about the players? That's my Jackie impression, by the way. And here we are.
Is that it?
I don't know about that. But and then here we are, and because we all knew that once any of these players contracted it, that this was what was going to happen.
Right.
There was going to be no more games being played. But it just seemed, like you said, like we were, for the most part, we were cautious of it, but we were all thinking like, it's not going to happen. Empty stadiums, whatever it is. But here we are where it's the players now and it's a completely different ball game.
The players, they have no idea what's going on. And I spoke with several NBA players last night and they're like, we don't know. We were just told to go home. You can't leave the city because there's a lot of teams are still going to be doing like team
Yeah.
events or team workout stuff or whatever, but most of the teams haven't been tested. Even the Thunder, actually, they weren't tested for the coronavirus.
Right.
They were checked to see if they had a fever, to go home, self-quarantine, and then at that point they were going to be, like, if they had symptoms, to then contact the, like, organization. But even the Thunder, they weren't tested for it themselves.
Oh,
So,
yes,
but
yeah.
all the guys I know are sitting at home just chilling.
Which is crazy,
Watch
especially
the
after
phone.
finding out.
They don't know what's
Watch
going
the
on.
phone.
They
Yeah.
haven't been told anything else than
But that's
what we know.
crazy to me, especially after now finding out that Donovan Mitchell, who had no symptoms, was positive for the coronavirus, who was in the building and who was on the court with those guys.
Yeah.
And hear that nobody on the Thunder was actually tested.
But that's why
crazy.
I'm concerned about everyone, because I don't know if I'm the only one who watched Dateline, but they did that whole
I love
expose
Dateline.
about the planes and how they're absolutely just a germ.
It's so
like
gross.
a germ bust.
Human
And, like,
germs, man.
so now I always take my little Lysol wipes, but now it's like, okay, I think a lot of us probably thought, like I did, where there's so many other things, and I'm not an elderly person with a compromised immune system. I'm probably fine. But I think that when we think about NBA prep, when we
It's
think
the
about
spread.
athletes at all, we think about people who are
Yeah.
strong without a compromised immune system. So I do, although this is horrible what's happening to the NBA, I am glad that it's, because all of a sudden
Yes.
the awareness, just people were like,
Yep, that's true.
just the Google searches
Yeah.
went up, people are more
It's
aware.
unfortunate.
I
but
mean,
you're
I never
right.
thought I
Mhm.
wouldn't get it or didn't have a chance of getting it. They've stated like 70 to 150 million Americans are probably going to get it, but the likeliness of us dying from it is the
Exactly.
issue.
Right.
It's only a lot of young people actually have gotten it, but it's only the older people that have died from it.
A lot of
So,
kids carry it. A lot of kids are
Yeah.
carrying it, but they're not getting affected by it.
Yeah.
Stay away from them kids, man.
So you got to stop the spread. That's the thing.